Donald Trump says he has now signed that memorandum of understanding to end the war with Iran and to get the Strait of Hormuz open again. His vice president, J.D. Vance, and Iran's parliamentary speaker have also reportedly signed the document. U.S. and Iranian negotiators are meeting Friday in Switzerland when they are expected to add their signatures and begin negotiations to hammer out more technical details of the framework. Trump has touted the agreement while Iran has claimed victory. And outside a G7 bilateral meeting with the French president, Trump was asked when he will release the text of the MOU.
This is a very powerful document, and I want it to be released, so probably pretty soon. I would say sometime after Friday, because the Strait opens it's open now, but it opens completely. We'll have all the mines knocked out for the most part. We have a lot of lanes right now already.
Mr. President.
So I think sometime in the very near future, yeah.
Now let's get reaction from inside Iran. CBC News senior international correspondent Margaret Evans is in Tehran. She has been speaking to people there for the last several days. Margaret is reporting from Iran with permission from the government. We should note that Iran imposes restrictions on international journalists, but it does not review our material before broadcast. Here's Margaret's report.
The government was very careful when it announced this agreement to use the language of victory, to dress it in the language of victory, because there's been a lot of opposition from the hardliners within the hardline political factions governing this country. People saying that really, Iran shouldn't have been negotiating with the United States to begin with. Many people go out onto the streets every night to voice their support for the government, but at the same time to denounce the foreign minister, the Speaker of Parliament. These are the men who were negotiating this agreement as traitors. So there's that side of society. You have, of course, also people who demonstrated against the regime in January, opponents of the Islamic Republic, those who want to see a more modern Iran that has connected to the world. They want their human rights. They want to have a more equal society. We saw those protests put down brutally in January. Reports of anywhere between 4,000 and 40,000 people killed at that time. Now, the opposition there at that time, it was split as well. Some people welcomed the U.S. President Donald Trump, who promised to liberate them, who said this war would liberate them. They'll be very disappointed to see the signature on this deal, because on some levels they think it means return to the status quo, because while the previous Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, may no longer be here, he of course was assassinated in the early days of the U.S.-Israel war against Iran, but he has been replaced by his son, Mujtaba, still unseen in public. But for them, it will be a return to the status quo, not necessarily the promise of any kind of change. In fact, maybe it's even set it back. And then there are ordinary Iranians who simply want to see, they want to not worry about where U.S.-Israeli airstrikes might hit in the night. Even during the ceasefire, those strikes have continued. People can't sleep. They have to talk to their children about the fear and how to handle it. And of course, there's the economy. Iranians have been faced with decades of sanctions that have degraded the economy here. You had, if you remember, during January, during those protests, the government imposed an internet blackout. The country and small businesses are only now starting to recover from that internet blackout and the impact it had on their businesses. The hotel, I'm standing on the roof of our hotel right now, it's only just restarted the internet. So people are very desperate to return to some sense of stability and normality. But even people who oppose the government and might support this deal are skeptical that it's going to last, because of the cyclical nature of the conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran. I did want to also mention that I attended a briefing of the Foreign Ministry today. The spokesman for the Iranian Foreign Ministry holds a weekly briefing. He was, of course, asked about the opposition and the threats against the foreign minister by hardliners, Abbas Araghchi. He said basically that there would be trust in the leadership that had taken this decision. I also asked him about any new guarantees that Iran had received from the United States that would assure them that the United States would be able to moderate Israel's behavior in a way that Iran has said it must do for this agreement to last. He did not say that there are any new guarantees or pledges or promises from the United States. What he did say is that Iran maintains the tools at its disposal to actually counter any infringements of its red line by Israel or the United States. So that's not very optimistic language in a sense, and that will increase the skepticism amongst many Iranians who say they don't believe that this interim deal is going to last very long.
CBC's senior international correspondent Margaret Evans in Tehran.